Everyone wants to get to 2000 ELO in chess, including me. The only problem is very few people have actually ever gotten there, and it usually takes them a really long time. Like a really long time. And I don't know about you, but I don't really have 10 years to wait. So in this video, I'm going to be trying to push my blitz rating all the way to 2000 in only 7 days. And I'm doing all this because I wanted to see how fast someone could actually improve at chess, and also see if I was even capable of getting what only a tiny percentage of people in the world have. This is probably going to be one of the hardest challenges I've ever done in my entire lifetime. This is what we're starting at, 1282 blitz rating. And as you can see, I have not played a blitz game in a pretty long time. As you probably saw, my highest rating in blitz was only 1300. So in order to get to a 2000 rating, I would have to push 700 points higher than my highest rating ever. And since I was doing this over the course of a week, that was around 100 ELO I needed to gain per day. But since we're at the lower levels right now, things weren't too difficult. This guy, not to say he's not good at chess, but he's pretty bad at chess. He just blundered his knight. Alright, I think this guy's blundered checkmate here. First game, easy win. And while I get through these first few easy games, let me tell you my plan on how I was actually going to get to 2000 in such a short time. Another day, another dollar. For the first part of my plan, I wasn't going to be wasting hours of my life learning complicated opening theory or just studying hundreds of tactics, because that would just take way too long. Instead, I would just be learning one solid opening that I could play for the white or black pieces, and this would just end up saving me a lot of time. Alright, there we go. We crossed the 1300 mark. And the opening that I was going to be using for this entire challenge was the King's Indian attack and the King's Indian defense, which are basically the same thing, but just for two different colors. And with this opening that I was using, these games actually seemed way too easy. And another easy victory. Like, these 1300 players were just blundering all of their pieces for absolutely no reason. Already we're up a pawn, because this guy doesn't know how to play his opening. And he blunders his bishop too? Alright, what is even happening? And since these 1300 players were constantly blundering all of their pieces, I was able to climb over 30 points of ELO in only like 10 minutes. And there we go. Check mate, I went to Starbucks, picked up an oat latte, a frappe, frappuccino. I'm not Mexican, but I eat a burrito. But as I got higher in rating, I knew it was only a matter of time before I started facing better opponents. And in this next game, after I blundered a pawn to this annoying tactic, I believe I just blundered a pawn, because if he takes here, I can't actually take back, because then our rook dies. And he does see that. I just never came back from being down a pawn, and this ended up being my first loss of the challenge. We are getting checkmated violently and vigorously. Alright. And after that lost game, progress slowed down a lot, with me losing the next two games in a row. Alright. Losing this many games on just day one of the challenge was not good, but I think I knew what the problem was. If one more of these people play these weird North Korean openings, like, I'm actually quitting this game. For some reason, players at this level would play the weirdest offbeat openings I'd ever seen in my entire life, which caused me to either blunder in the opening or just not know what to do in the middle game because of this weird situations I would find myself in. But luckily, I think I was able to get used to how these players played, because after a few more games, I was able to go on a pretty good winning streak. Alright, nice. Delectable. A delight. But even though I was going up in rating, after every few wins, I would suffer another loss. And the issue was, I wasn't losing to my opponents being good, I was just losing to myself being bad. Am I blind? Like, why did I just give up a pawn for absolutely a 0% reason? I felt like I was making moves I would never normally make and blundering a lot more. Like, what even is this? If I actually wanted to reach 2000 ELO, I knew I would have to fix this issue, but I decided to worry about that later, because luckily the opening I was playing was so overpowered that some of these games I didn't even have to focus in order to win. Oh, he plunged his queen. Well, I guess we'll take that. This guy's bad at the game, alright. And after winning that game, I continued to make slow and steady progress, but the progress was really slow. And after about 30 more minutes of playing chess, I only gained around 16 ELO points. But I took a break to rejuvenate my mind, and when I came back, I was able to push from 1370 all the way to 1400 in only about 40 minutes, and complete today's goal. And just like that, 1403. That was the goal for today, and we got there in probably around 2 hours, but that took way longer than I thought it would. It's literally midnight right now. But this was literally the easiest of the 7 days, and since I had already been struggling, I really needed to make an actual plan for the next 6 days. Day numero dos, and for those of you who are not Chinese, that means we have to get to 1500 ELO today. And since it was so hard to get to 1400 yesterday, it might be an impossible task, but we still have a long way to go, so I guess we'll see. Alright, only 97 more ELO to go for today's goal. How hard could this possibly be? Day 2 actually started off really well, with me absolutely destroying this person's hopes and dreams for the world. This guy just blundered his queen. I don't understand this theory. Good start, good start. And after I went on this pretty spectacular winning streak, gaining 35 points in only about 20 minutes of playing chess, chess.com decided I was going to take a break. Oh, okay, chess.com just broke down. After waiting for chess.com to fix itself, I came back ready to push for 1500. But the same thing that happened on the first day was happening again. Bruh, I just blundered my queen. I was making blunders that I felt like I would never normally make, and I still didn't really know why this was happening. I actually don't know how to play this game. I was totally winning, and then I just decided to blunder my queen for no reason. So after playing for another 20 minutes, I'd gained a total of 0 points. I just wasted 20 minutes of my life making no progress. And it was here I realized I seriously needed to fix this problem, because if this continued to happen, there was no way I was ever going to reach 2000 ELO. So I messaged my friend I Want Checkmate, another chess YouTuber who has 2000 in almost every time control, and asked him for some pro wisdom. I also asked my club on chess.com for help, which you guys should join, by the way. There's always active people on there, and we host a bunch of tournaments. But they gave me some of the worst advice ever invented. And then I asked my Discord for advice, but their advice was even worse somehow. Anyways, while I waited for I Want Checkmate to reply, I continued trying to push for 1500. This time I was trying to think a lot more about my moves so I would blunder less, and this was working up until the end game, where I had no time on the clock because I spent all of it thinking. Oh my, yeah. Alright, let's just not be slow. How about that? And then we might win some games or something. Not being slow was a good idea, but this meant I had a lot less time to think about my moves, and this didn't end up going so well. I'm actually at this point, I had spent a few hours making 0 progress, so I might have been just a little bit tilted. And after resigning this game, I had lost all of my progress that I had made today and was back at 1400. I also may have been slightly depressed, but this depression somehow made me lock in and focus on gaining ELO. I was barely saying anything during the games, and my only goal was extracting ELO from my opponents. Alright, and it's all over. This is how we should be beating people every single game. And slowly but surely, I was untilting and even got this cool checkmate. Okay, nice. And it was here I came up with a simple but effective plan that will carry me throughout the rest of this challenge. So I think we got to move fast in the opening, and that way, like later on, we'll have more time to think about our life choices. For some reason, I was doing a lot of calculations in the opening stages of the game, which would make me lose on time later on. Instead, I just needed to memorize my opening and get through it quickly so that I would have time to think later on in the middle game to end game. And even though this was a really simple idea, I was now able to put my opponents under time pressure and make them blunder instead of me. He blunders anyway. And he blunders again. And just like that, I was back to winning games. Very cool. And if you're wondering what opening I'm using to absolutely destroy these players, it's not the normal King's Indian opening that everybody knows, but it's a unique system of attack which I used to get to 2000 ELO in Bullet about a year ago. But since then, I've been working on this opening and perfecting it with my friend Nyarjar and a national chess master to make this system even more overpowered than it already was. And if you guys want to learn the system which carried me to 2000 a year ago and is carrying me right now, I explain in depth how to play this system in my school community, where you can watch videos on how to play this system, do exercises to master the opening, and even have me and 2 chess pros personally analyze your games and tell you what to improve on. Right now, since I just released this community, it's super cheap, but once a lot more people join, I'm going to raise the price to make it more exclusive. So join now while the price is low by clicking the first link in the description of this video, and just like me, you can make hundreds of ELO of progress from just learning one simple opening. But anyways, this opening allowed me to get amazing attacks on the enemy king side like this in almost every single game. And we have this. Oh my gosh, this is delectable. We can just go bing, and we can also take this bishop. Very nice. Alright, moving fast in the opening is definitely the meta, because chances are I'm not going to blunder severely in the opening since I know this opening pretty well, so I can think longer in the middle game. You'll see how good this opening actually is later in the video, but this plan of moving faster in the opening so that I could think more in the middle game was actually carrying me throughout these games. Amazingness. Well, we take the win either way. These kingside attacks were just too overpowered, and I was even having fun playing chess again. I think he just checkmated. We're going to do the maximum pain strategy, offer draw, bing, checkmate. Now I was doing super well at managing my time, but also just destroying every single opponent that I came in contact with. And he resigned. Okay, look at this pressure that we're exerting on his kingside position. He really has no option but to resign here. Alright, one more game for 1500, and we're playing against the highest rated player that we played this whole challenge so far. Even though I was a little bit intimidated here, I just played my normal opening, and, well, I really didn't have anything to worry about. Yeah, so now I believe we can just take here. And after captures, we just checkmate. That was one of the easiest games I've had, and we beat our first 1500 of the challenge, getting us to 1500 ELO, which was our goal for today. The goal for today was 1600, and I thought since yesterday went so well, today I would reach my goal in no time. Unfortunately, in my first game, I thought I was Magnus Carlsen and believed sacrificing my queen in this position was a good idea. Yeah, I actually have zero idea why I did that. I think starting off with such a devastating loss tilted me because I spent the next hour making no progress and was back to making the same mistakes I had made on day one, just blundering pieces for no reason whatsoever. Oh, what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we played for like close to an hour and we've made like 3 ELO of progress. I still didn't know what was causing me to make such simple mistakes, but this has been an issue since day one, and an issue that I desperately needed to fix, or I would never stand a chance against the higher rated players that I would face later on. But right now, I thought the answer to my problems was just playing more games, and brute forcing my way to 1600. Unfortunately, chess doesn't really work like that, and I just ended up playing even worse. Like in this position, I'm totally destroying my opponent. As long as I don't do something like blundering my rook, everything should be fine.
I'm actually not good at this game. I just blundered my rook for absolutely zero reason.
Normally I would never make such a simple blunder, but for some reason almost every game, whenever I was even slightly winning, I would just throw the game away by making simple mistakes.
What is this?
I was questioning whether I even knew how to play chess, and after about an hour more of this zero IQ gameplay, this was my progress.
Wow, after like 2 hours of playing chess, we're I think down 3 ELO in total. This is so fun.
I was in a moderate to severe state of depression, but I decided to try and switch things up to see if anything would change.
We're gonna try playing longer time control to see if that makes a difference. I'm not sure if it will, but we're trying 5 minutes.
And in literally the first move, my opponent already blundered a pawn. But like all the previous games, I was just playing terribly and ended up losing my lead, resulting in this completely losing position. All my opponent had to do here was play f2 and he would be getting a queen, but instead he played g4, giving me a free queen. And after my opponent's monumental throw, we were up now, and we were able to get an easy victory royale.
And there it is. Since this was such a long game, we gotta do the offer a draw and checkmate strategy.
After this win though, I checked my Discord and saw that I Want Checkmate had messaged me back with these words of wisdom for reaching 2000 ELO. He said I needed to take forced breaks so I didn't tilt. And I think this was what I was missing, because for the last couple of days, I had just been playing chess for hours on end, not taking any breaks, and this not only caused me to be miserable, but also just play a lot worse. So I decided to obey this wisdom and take a short break to work out a little bit. This is real-time footage, by the way, it's not sped up at all. Anyways, after that, I decided to go back to playing 3-minute blitz games and was actually playing a lot better, making my next opponent rage quit.
And he left these the game. Inspirational.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but taking that break and also playing that 1 5-minute blitz game before was actually 2 of the best decisions I'd ever made. Because after hours of spamming 3-minute blitz games, I was thinking less and less in each game, and just making moves out of habit, which was the cause of all these random blunders I was making. But playing that 1 5-minute blitz game and then taking a short break had kind of reset my mind. And now it wasn't just making moves out of habit anymore, but actually using my brain to play chess.
And just like that, we call it an easy victory royale in my country.
And it was here I would possibly get the most satisfying win of this entire video. I'm just playing this normal game and we get to the end game where it's pretty even. Except I let my opponent get both his rooks on the 7th rank with my king trapped here on the 8th, which if you didn't know is usually a really strong position for the white pieces. And my opponent knows this, so in the chat he says GG, thinking that he just won the game. But the game was not over yet and I play knight c4, covering this escape square for my opponent's king. I get put in check a bunch of times, but then my opponent makes a fatal error. He takes my pawn, giving me checkmate in 1, and then he resigned the game.
These people cannot be real.
Anyways, we were so back now, and I was not depressed anymore and was starting to actually enjoy playing chess again.
And just like that, we take another victory royale. I think this is the new strategy, because when I play a game and then I take a break, it kind of like resets my mental fortitude. Therefore, I can focus even harder on the next game. But when I play multiple games in a row, I just don't care as much. I can't see simple tactics and blunder pieces.
This was by far the highest rated in the blitz I'd ever been in my entire life, but last time I had been up in rating, I had tilted back 50 points in 5 minutes. So I was pretty stressed out that the same thing would happen again, and I was just procrastinating playing more games. But after realizing it wasn't that deep, little bro, I was ready to play more.
Alright, it's just a chess game. I need to calm down a little.
Since I wasn't playing chess for 5 hours straight anymore, this allowed me to focus way better, and I was just up in this endgame.
We're just up a night. We should be good here. Let's just not blunder anything.
This was one of the highest rated players I had faced, so I was super stressed out, but I really didn't need to be.
And he blunders his queen. Oh my. Hallelujah.
And now I was only a few games off of 1600. And even though this was the most scared I had ever been, since I really didn't want to tilt back to 1500 like earlier, this was also the most locked in I'd ever been.
Yes! Oh, baby.
Now we were just 2 games away from today's goal, and after winning this next game,
alright, we take the win, we take the win, we take the win, we take the win, we take the win.
I thought this was going to be one of the more difficult games of the day, but it turns out 1500 rated players really don't know what they're doing.
He just blunders his queen? What is this guy on? Is he on psychedelics? Is he on bath salts and birth control?
And now we just needed not to blunder anything, and this would be an easy victory.
Okay, he can't move that rook. Now we just get this and just checkmate. And just like that, our goal for today is completed. 1600. I don't even know how that's possible. I thought we were forever stuck at 1500, but apparently not. So we're moving our way up in the world.
His goal is to get to 1700, but judging by how much I struggled the last few days, I don't really know how possible this is going to be.
The plan for today was pretty simple. I would play chess for 30 minutes to an hour or until I got tilted, and then take a short break to reset my mind. Then I would come back and do the same thing until I got to 1700 ELO. But already things weren't starting off too well because my first game of the day, I was on a pawn in the endgame and was just losing. But since this was a blitz game, I knew there was a chance I could win on time or my opponent could blunder if he got low on time. And I was right.
Yes. Hallelujah. Oh my gosh, I should not have won that.
I think I just needed that game to warm up though, because after this I was playing much better. And even in stressful situations where I had low time, I was still able to find pretty cool checkmates.
Take that, and we get a queen. Please don't run out of time.
I was still making simple blunders like sacrificing my pawns in the opening for no reason. But for some reason, even though I was the highest rated I'd ever been, I felt like my opponents now were playing much worse than before.
Discover attack on the queen. We also have this little thing.
Like, if you were black here, what would you do? Save your queen and defend this attack? Or castle and blend your queen, simultaneously losing the game? And a few games later, something similar happened again. In this position, my opponent just blunders an entire knight for absolutely no reason.
Is this not just a free thing in my life? Cannot take because my queen take his queen.
I didn't understand why these 1600 players, by the way, were blundering so much, but this just kept on happening, so that even when I was in disgustingly losing positions, I was able to somehow come back and win the game.
And that's what we call winning on time. Alright, I've come to the conclusion these 1600s do not know what they're doing. Like, they make the same amount of blunders as like 1300s or 1200s.
And after coming to the realization that 1600s are basically just 1200s pretending to be good at chess, I began to climb rapidly in rating.
Yeah, 1600s just don't have no idea what's going on in this game.
My plan was to get to 1650 and then take a short break to push the last 50 points later in the day, and right now I was making faster progress than I had this entire challenge.
So he blunders his queen, a 1600 player blunders his queen. It wasn't even a tactic, I just attacked his queen and he blundered it.
And after this last game,
was I just 1650 by the way? Was I just not locked in before? Because this was literally the easiest game I've ever played. We're gonna take a short break because I Want Checkmate said you have to take breaks, and he's 2000 so he knows best.
I had reached my first goal for today, and judging by how easy this was, pushing the last 50 points should be no problem. So after doing some extracurricular activities, my mind was rested and I came back to push the last 50 points.
Why is this guy so high rated?
This was the highest rated player I had faced this entire video, so this would be a test to see if I could actually beat players a lot better than me. And things weren't starting off too well.
This guy moves too fast and he's too accurate. I don't know what to do about that.
Although I was up a pawn, I was losing on time, and my kingside was being attacked by almost all of the white pieces. So all I could do here was defend, until this happened.
So he blunders his knight. This is good. Not so accurate anymore. Safe. Nice, he blunders his queen. It's all over, and it's all over, folks. And it's all 1735? More like you're bad at the game, buddy. And he disconnects. Amazing. There's no better feeling than making someone feel so depressed in their soul and spirit that they just leave the game.
And this game was a huge inspiration for me, because after this, I was able to go on the biggest winning streak of my life, ending with this super satisfying victory.
Life's over, buddy. Give up on life. Give up on all your dreams and hopes. Be depressed. I think we lost no games from 1650 to 1700. Look at this battle log. Boom, win, 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 win. That's 11 games won in a row. But all I can say is the opening that we're playing is kind of overpowered. And also I Want Checkmate's device. It kind of solved all my issues that I was having the last few days. All right, today, first of all, we're wearing a black shirt because it is a very serious day, a very serious time in our lives. First of all, someone passed us on the leaderboard. More importantly though, today's goal is 1800 ELO, which is by far the highest I've ever been rated in a blitz, and will probably be very challenging. We're gonna use the same I Want Checkmate strategy though and take breaks when we need to, because if we tilt, that would be the end of my life. This was the most stressed out and nervous I had been for this entire challenge, because I had no idea what to expect from these 1700 rated players. Luckily though, my opening was kind of carrying me, and thanks to these two passed pawns that I was able to get early on in the game, it put my opponent into a tricky situation, making him think a lot and use up a lot of his time. My palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are... Alright, one game down. That was way too stressful according to my calculations, but we live, we love, we lie, as they say.
What?
In the next game, my opening carried me again, giving me an easy victory. And then, as things were going so well, I got matched up against someone almost 100 points higher rated than me.
Okay, so why is this guy super high rated?
This guy was moving super fast in the opening, but I knew from experience that if he tried to keep this up, he would inevitably blunder something. And I was right.
He blunders his bishop? What?
I was just up a piece, so now my only goal was to trade off everything and simplify the position, and after trading off queens, I saw my opportunity to win the game. Nice tactic, good tactic. We just beat someone almost 100 ELO points higher rated than us, guys. Just like last time, beating someone so much higher rated than me boosted my confidence super high. Unfortunately, this didn't lead to any improvement in my skill because for the next few hours I hovered around 1730 to 1740. I probably should have taken a break to rest my mind, but luckily I played a game that did it for me. Okay. Amazing. This is what we needed. That was the weirdest game I've ever had. Not only did I get 10 free points from that game, but it was so weird that it shocked me out of my comfort zone, and in this next game I was able to violently violate my opponent at high velocity.
Yeah, and now just free... I mean, we'll even just promote to a rook because we have checkmate. That was a beautiful checkmate sequence. And just like that, we're 1750. We're gonna take a break. And while doing more extracurricular activities, I realized two things. First, touching grass is very scary. But second, I had gained around 500 ELO in only 5 days, without any special coaching, training, or complicated openings. And I'm not anyone special, so I realized that you guys watching this video could literally follow the same exact steps I did and see the same, if not better, results in your gameplay. Which is why I created this Road to 2000 school community. So if you guys are interested in increasing your rating as quickly as possible, click the link in the description. I'm 100% sure you guys can improve as quickly as I did. But anyways, after that short break, I came back and was able to win my first game. And after winning a few more games, I was able to push my rating all the way up to 1772. Alright, nice. We win that.
But this is where my mind started to tire out. And honestly, I should have taken another break here, but I just wanted to get this over with, causing me to start thinking a lot less and making moves out of habit, which caused me to blunder a lot more.
Yeah, it's all over, bro. Oh my gosh, what am I actually doing?
And it wasn't long before I started to get maybe just a tiny bit tilted.
Alright, so we're just losing every pawn then. Okay, cool, man. Okay, I'm done, guys. I'm done.
I was now well under 1750 and tilting at high speed, which is specifically what I Want Checkmate had warned me against. But at this point, I had played for so long today that I was too far gone to even care.
Alright, so is it the fact that I enjoy being beaten to death? Or is it...
The only good thing about me being tilted was that I could at least move fairly quickly. So even though I may not have had the best positions, I could at least survive long enough to make some of my opponents lose on time.
Alright, we'll take the win.
And at this point, that was the only strategy that I had.
I think we're safe. Yes, sir. Okay.
Obviously, this wasn't the best plan ever, so after making zero progress for another hour, I decided I should probably stop for now.
Alright, we take that on time. I'm out of here for now.
I mean, I gotta get to 1800 today, and our goal for 60 points, and I have like 60 points to go. I think we've been playing for around 2 hours, and in total we've went down 10 rating points. Great job, guys. I thought taking this break would help, but after coming back and playing for another hour straight, the only thing I was making progress was my resemblance to a homeless person. And after playing for so long only to lose 15 ELO, I just rage quit. At this point, it was around 11 o'clock at night, and I was debating going to sleep. And I tried to, but I literally could not let my mind rest because I knew I had the ability to be 1800. It was just a matter of focus that was holding me back. So I decided to apply a new strategy called playing chess all night until I reached 1800 and not stopping until I saw 1800 under my blitz rating. I literally wasn't talking this entire time, and even when I lost, I wouldn't be angry, and even when I won, I wouldn't be happy. This was definitely not the most optimal way of playing chess, and I actually tilted all the way back to 1708. But even though I was making negative progress here, I knew I literally wouldn't stop playing until I reached 1800. And so I went on one of the most painful rating grinds of my entire life, playing blitz games for 3 hours straight, not taking any breaks, and gaining almost 100 points in that time. And finally, at 2 AM in the morning, after winning this game, I was almost at my goal. We're literally 1 point away from 1800. 1 point away. Things started off pretty well with me getting a nice attack on the king side. Unfortunately, my brain was just not strong enough to take advantage of my position, and everything kind of fell apart.
This ain't it, dog.
I was now just losing and doing my best to survive until this happened. No. Oh, that was my chance to end all of my pain and suffering for today, and I'd completely thrown it away. Luckily, since I was only 1 point off, I had one more chance for 1800, and this time I actually won my game.
Yes, sir. There it is, 1800. There we go, blitz 1800, look at that. I have no idea what I'm gonna do for tomorrow, like how that's even gonna be possible, but we'll figure it out when we're there.
Today we have to get to 1900 ELO, but since it was so hard yesterday, I have some other plans to help me get there and make sure I don't like tilt all the way back to 0 rating.
Before I actually pushed to 1900, I wanted to see what it was like playing at that level. So I challenged my friend Mythical Tiger, who is 1900, to an unrated chess match so that I could get some experience and advice.
This guy's 100 ELO points higher rated than me. He's gonna play me and then give me some advice on what to improve on.
I didn't go into this with much hope of winning, but I at least wanted to get some good advice from this 1900. And Mythical Tiger was doing a good job of attacking my king side, but I had faced this type of attack in almost every game leading up to this point, so I was used to defending against this. And after we traded off queens, I was able to get this amazing endgame tactic. I was attacking both these pawns, and Mythical Tiger could only defend one, but instead of taking this pawn, I had plans for more powerful attack.
Wait, we might have just won the game, hold on.
And now that I had my rook on the 7th rank and this king was trapped, I thought there was no way Mythical Tiger was coming back from this, and I was right.
Oh my goodness, this guy was supposed to give me wisdom on what to improve on, and I just absolutely destroyed him. Oh my goodness.
With this huge confidence boost, I was prepared to push to 1900, but literally the first game I faced this opening.
What is going on?
This guy also typed in chat, there's levels. So now I had to humble this man. But if you remember back to day 1 when I was playing at the 13 to 1400 level, whenever I would face a weird opening, I would almost always lose. So now that I was facing a weird opening at such a high level, I was pretty nervous I would lose here also. But I had nothing to worry about because this guy really didn't have any idea what he was doing.
I think we up now. Yeah, we're sub 3.
After humbling that chess.com user, I actually logged in and I was able to climb all the way up to 1843.
Nice.
And once I reached 1850, I was planning on taking a break to rest my mind, so I just needed to win one more game to be done for now.
Nice.
I really did not want to be playing chess until 2 AM again because that was honestly just miserable. So I was trying to finish this earlier in the day, but it seemed like the more I played, the more I would make no progress.
That's just sad.
I would win one game only to lose the next one, and this cycle continued for a while, and I thought that 1800 might be the highest I could possibly push. But I remembered that I had outplayed 1900 players and believed I could get to that level. The only issue, once more, was my focus.
Oh my gosh.
I actually had no idea what to do now. I had taken breaks, but whenever I would come back, I would still end up making zero progress, and after around another hour of playing, I was still stuck at 1800 ELO. I tried one more time that day to push for 1900, and after making zero progress, I was so demotivated that I thought I was done. Until it was close to 11 PM again, and I could not go to sleep knowing that I was a failure of life.
So currently it is 10:49 PM, and we're nowhere close to our goal, even though we've been trying all day. So here's what we're gonna have to do. Since tomorrow I definitely won't have time to push 200 ELO points, from now on, we're just gonna have to play until we get to 1900, no matter how long that may take. Like, I don't know what other else to do.
I was making absolutely no progress for the first 2 hours, but then after winning this game that I probably should have lost, something changed in my mind and I was actually starting to win. 1840, 1848, 1856. I was now actually consistently winning games somehow. And then I faced by far the highest rated player I had ever faced, Ratatouille, an almost 2000 level player who, if I would beat, would put me one game away from 1900. We made it through the opening fine, although my king wasn't in the best spot, but I knew as long as I could get into an endgame, I had a chance. So I just traded off everything, and we made it to an endgame where I was up on time and had a knight. And in this position, I would consider my knight much better than my opponent's bishop. He offers a draw, but I declined because I know I can win this. And with less than 20 seconds on the clock,
A person close to 2000 ELO.
now I knew for sure that I could get to 1900, and if I was able to beat that player so easily, 2000 might actually not be that hard. But now I was just one game away from 1900. Unfortunately, my nerves were just too much and I lost that game.
Okay.
And then I lost the next one. And the next one. And you might think here I should have stopped, but I literally could not stop. I was one game away off 1900, I just needed to get back there. But after losing yet another game, I was tilted and unfortunately continued playing until I tilted another 30 points down all the way back to 1833.
Bruh, I'm mentally disabled.
And it was there that I finally stopped playing for the day. Day 7, I needed to have the best comeback of 2025. So the first thing in the morning, I played for close to an hour and was able to regain some of my lost rating points. But after losing this one game, I was already ready to take a break. So I did take a break, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I only had a few hours left in this challenge and really couldn't afford to waste any time. After realizing this, I came back, but with only 20 minutes left to reach 2000 ELO, unfortunately, this was just not enough time, and I ended this challenge at 1818 ELO. Now don't worry, around a week after I filmed this, I did end up getting my blitz rating to 2000 ELO, it just took a little bit longer than I had wanted. But even though we failed the challenge, we still made huge progress from where we started, going from 1200 all the way to the peak of almost 1900 in just 7 days. And this just goes to show you that there's literally nothing stopping you guys from doing the same exact thing as I did. Maybe you shouldn't try to do this all within a week because I was pretty depressed, but all I had to do was learn a simple opening system, and that's honestly what carried me to eventually getting 2000 ELO and now bullet and blitz time controls. So again, if you guys want to learn this system, click the first link in the description.